Can crypto architect a regulatory ceasefire with incentive payments to government treasuries? Block rewards paid to network validators were one of the primary innovations that enabled Bitcoin to succeed where prior cryptographic payment systems like digital gold had failed. If economic incentives, guaranteed by an immutable, game-theoretic set of rules, is what worked to bootstrap global cooperation among Bitcoin miners, might it be able to do the same for governments and regulators? What if Web3 were to further expand the boundaries of its system design to include regulators, to include the existing financial system and world governments as participants, stakeholders, and partners to integrate, rather than opponents to defend against or to attack? My proposal is this. Collect a portion of the transaction fees from your cryptocurrency into a treasury that can be claimed by a government at any time, if they opt into a specific smart contract that governs that treasury. This will do two things simultaneously. It will make them participants in your internal economy and tacitly create their endorsement of its existence and operation. One might accuse this strategy of being blunt, audacious, or utilitarian. But once there's an economic incentive for both points of view to cooperate, I think many will be surprised how tractable all of the previously stated fears and issues suddenly become. Now, there would clearly be a lot of technical, legal, financial, and social hurdles to overcome to make this happen, and maybe it would ultimately prove unviable. But maybe this is an idea that resonates with some of the thousands of blockchain projects out there as a worthwhile experiment. Maybe in the global engines of innovation and free market, there are enough shots on goal that a winning implementation emerges. Getting down to brass tacks, there are many possible ways that this might be implemented. And I'd love to hear other folks' ideas as well as critiques. I'm proposing one way, and I'll link to a more detailed written explanation in the comments. Let me be clear, the goal should be to retain the same openness and accessibility so that the blockchain remains a true public good. This may mean that the cheap, instant, and trustable transactions would not be accessible only to your favorite groups of people, but to everyone. In my example of a modified Ethereum, total annual fees are increased from $2.1 billion to $3.2 billion. These incremental amounts are fees to cover the cost of proof of location, as well as the premium fees for anonymous transactions. When it's all said and done, the hypothetical new protocol would burn $0.9 billion from anonymous transactions and deposit $1.35 billion into country treasuries worldwide. But you may be asking, what about decentralization? Wasn't the whole point to leave government out of Web3? I hear you, and I understand. Maybe that is ultimately the better solution. But might it be better to put more focus on the clearest and most beneficial use cases first, so we can get them across the finish line to the most people? It can seem attractive to wholesale reinvent the entire system, but I suspect it's more complicated than that. And the reinvention of each component in that system is going to have its own level of feasibility and return on investment. Ultimately, governments will be a part of the Web3 ecosystem, whether it's reinvented from within, integrated from without, or a combination of the two. So thanks for listening. I think the above is worth considering. Please let me know what your thoughts, ideas, or critiques are.